1 in 6 children have special needs. Many get labelled as troublemakers because they're difficult to deal with, but their problems often have complex roots. The children in this film are in danger of becoming some of the 11,000 pupils excluded from school in Britain each year, but they're being given one last chance.
James, that's enough.
I'll do it myself.
All right, you do it then.
How would your mind stop you?
I don't know.
Why don't they just bloody well ask me, then they'll know. Ain't that what they're supposed to do? They're supposed to find out how I'm feeling.
I'm sick of you asking me, what do I want?
Just sit down and stop behaving like a fool.
Snail?
You've got a lot to learn in life, I tell you, son.
Life, I ain't got a life.
Sometimes it seems all right to nod or shake your head, but it seems hard to make a noise out of your mouth, doesn't it?
The Marlborough Family Service has a unique education unit founded by Brenda McHugh and Neil Dawson. They insist that mothers and fathers return to the classroom with their children 4 mornings a week because they believe it's not just the children that need to change, it's their families too. This can be a painful process for all involved, but even in 4 months, QED witnessed some dramatic changes. James is 9 years old and comes to the unit with his younger brother John and his mother Catherine. At school he has violent temper tantrums, but like most of the children who come here, he can't explain his behaviour.
If I was a fly on the wall, what would I see?
The Marlborough's consultant child psychiatrist is helping James to talk about his outbursts.
Throwing stuff. I just go mad.
What's the worst of going mad that you do?
Bonkers.
What sort of fights did you used to have?
Punching, kicking, and stuff like that.
What would start that off? What would make you start fighting some of the teachers and other children?
Calling, blaming it on me.
How come that you're not fighting now? Because sometimes you might still get blamed.
It's because I want to get back to school full time.
James has never really been able to express why he goes into temper tantrums and moods. If he's asked, it's because I did, or I don't know. I mean, I think it's a fairly obvious answer from a lot of children, but I don't think he really does know why. James was seeing a psychologist because of some of his problems. It came out at that point that James had threatened that he wanted to stab John and me and wish we were all dead, and I thought, yes, okay, fine. As long as he's saying it, he's not doing anything. I was always a bit worried about how I was going to get on with him. I mean, James's birth was a bit of a shock when it actually turned out, because he'd ended up being a caesarean birth. He's always needing to be reassured that I care about him as well. If you spend too much attention on John, then he starts getting jealous and plays up a bit.
The complicated first part of having a family in is to try and turn it from being what we would call a linear problem, that is, the child is failing in school, or the family's view is the teacher is failing, or the teacher's view is that the parent is failing, into a systems issue in which everybody sees that they have a part to play in the solution of the problem. So that reframe from it being one person's problem to being we are all involved and how we're all going to change together to make this thing work varies from family to family.
By an emergency caesarean.
So tell me, Neil mentioned this, so what happened then? Were you ready for a normal birth and then it got into difficulty or what?
I think it must have been about 10 o'clock they came in and said, we're taking him off to Scobie, he's got low blood sugar level. I'm going, yeah, right, fine, I don't care. I was totally out of it.
Right. So when did you get him back?
Not for nearly over 10 days.
Gosh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
In the little incubator at this stage, or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Hard to cuddle a baby when they're like that.
Yeah. I think I managed once. I brought his father and my sister coming down to see him. And we got there and there was doctors all around him again and green sheets over him. And I'm stood in the room next door looking through the glass thinking, what the hell is going on now? I mean, this was all in the first week and a half or so of his birth.
I mean, presumably it was a bit different when you had John.
Oh, it was a lot of difference from when I had John. I mean, John was born early hours of the morning, and after he'd had him, I was taken back to the delivery room, and just holding the baby on your own. It was brilliant.
Gosh.
I had a bath with the baby in the bath, it was beautiful.
Catherine picks James up from his regular school, which he still attends in the afternoons. He's just about coping, according to his teacher's daily report back to the Marlborough.
Well, I think eventually James would have lost his temper once too often and would have been given the third and final official suspension, which would have been basically you're out the door. Although the school have worked very hard not to let that happen.
But it's still rocky. This afternoon, James has been in a fight, and he's not prepared to talk about it.
James! No, leave him! He'll only attack you. Come on, we're going to go and get him.
James is well known in the area.
He had a bad afternoon. He attacked a couple of kids. Hello. You seen James go past?
Yes, I did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Come on, James, stop it! I think he's very angry with himself because he's lost control.
Catherine's determined to make things work this time, but it's not easy.
I'd be angry at him. He was such an angel this morning. He was really good. And to act like this.
It took half an hour to get James back under control. He's not allowed to do games at school anymore because he keeps running away. Shane is 9 years old and comes to the unit with his father, John. Shane doesn't go to school because of his disruptive behaviour. He also has learning difficulties, which he finds difficult to accept.
I'm not clear what you're doing.
Colouring it in.
Is that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah. Can you read?
So,
This book with me.
what you would be saying, John, would be something... I want you to listen to Jill and to do your work, and if you don't, so can you be clear with him what you're saying? So
Yeah, it's quite simple, Shane. Just speak to Jill in a civilised manner and just do the bit of work you've been asked to do. Then you'll probably be all right to go to the fair with your mum.
And if you don't?
But with your attitude now and the way you're carrying on, you have got no hope whatsoever.
Okay, so you've been clear, so let's do it.
In fact, I didn't actually realise, so I was speaking to one of the staff on the phone, that you actually had to be here with the parents. I had no idea. So it was only literally a week or two before I actually started coming up here. I had any idea what it consisted of. I had no idea at all. I thought it was basically dropped up here and pick them up later on. I had no idea you had to be here. I suppose with Shane, I was fairly soft all the time. He just literally walk over me. There's never ways to be assertive in other ways, which I wasn't aware of really at the time. It's just maybe the manner you speak, the tone of voice, things like that.
I was the complete opposite. I was too hard on James and expecting too much from him too soon.
I don't care.
Don't care, so what? Go away. What do adults know? Adults don't know anything. Who does know anything? Shane knows, presumably.
When the message I get from Shane, according to Shane, he knows absolutely everything.
Usually, when parents are saying, I can't be angry, I can't get tough with my child, they explain it as looking at their child and seeing something that either reminds them of themselves at that age or some other past trauma that happened with this child. And we know that John is worried still and troubled by the time that Shane fell off the balcony and that John feels that was his fault.
It's only because the accident would never have occurred except for a box I had left out there. Got on top of the ledge and went straight over the top then. It was about between 25, 30 foot. It was a hairline fracture, so there's no surgery involved or anything like that.
The only reason I'm latching onto this, What is it about Shane that makes him untouchable?
It's probably more my fault, if anything. Like, as you say, at the end of the day, like...
Fault isn't the point, is why is it that you're like that? Or have been?
I just find it very hard to be, like, really assertive. Like, I honestly don't know the reason why I'm like that.
John is troubled by the time that Shane fell, but it still isn't enough of an explanation for why, when Shane is at his uttermost provocative, this huge man who seems to be quite powerful in so many other ways is totally and utterly defeated by this little boy. It doesn't make sense.
Danny is 13 and hasn't been to school for over a year. He and his mother Maureen say that's because he was agoraphobic. Now she's been threatened with legal action for his truancy, but she's still worried about his panic attacks.
Danny?
The issue as to whether the problem originates in the family or not is a very difficult one, because if families feel that you're looking for problems in their family, then it's a natural human response to not want to acknowledge that. So I prefer to think of it in the family as being a place where you've got the most chance for bringing about change or new solutions.
If I go ahead, I'll leave the key to lock up, won't you?
Yeah.
It's quite a severe symptom. When 12, 13-year-old boy who actually got to that stage of withdrawing from normal life, really.
See you, Dan.
Bye.
It's a struggle for Maureen to get Danny out of the flat and to the Marlborough each morning. At the unit, teacher therapists talk openly to parents in front of their children, forcing both to confront their problems.
You know, he's got to feel a bit stuck and gone over there and cried. I'd only drop it on my
They sometimes talk about it amongst themselves and they don't involve you. And I think that's some kind of psychology therapy. I don't know what it's called, but they try and talk about you to get you thinking. But there's nothing for me to think about because they're all bodged up. And then they start thinking to each other, oh, maybe Danny does this, oh, maybe Danny does that. And they start talking over me about how I might feel, about how I think about this, how I think about that. But they don't know how I think. Why don't they just bloody well ask me, then they'll know.
When you want to have a voice and it feels right, and when you don't, because it was...
I can speak up for myself. They can talk like that for all I care if I'm not there. But I'm there. Why don't they just ask me? It's putting me down in my view.
What's there about say, Jill?
Maureen is torn between her natural instinct to understand and protect Danny, her mistrust of schools, and her desire to help him get a good education.
It's a major thing he's done, isn't it, to refuse to go to school?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a straightforward refusal. He wishes that he wasn't.
No, school refusal is a title.
Yeah.
Do they refuse or can't they go?
Yeah. Well, Danny seems to have this thing where he feels that he's going to die if he goes to school.
Yeah.
He feels he's actually going to be killed within the schoolyard. I understand him because I have actually seen so much violence within secondary schools. And
none of these parents have come saying they need therapy. They want help for their child. And this is a place about education. The main focus is about helping their children become learners, successful learners, and to be back in school as quickly as possible.
The special school I know I wouldn't like, and the mainstream school I know I would definitely not like. I'm sick of you asking me, what do I want?
Because it's important. It's your future that's at stake.
No, this isn't important.
Well, it is important to me. Better off sitting down, Shane.
I don't want to sit down.
Come on, Shane. Just sit down.
No.
All right. Just sit down.
Stay up.
Just sit down and stop behaving like a fool.
Stay up. You better get off me.
Just sit down.
No.
So you're going to start with your juvenile behaviour again, are you?
Get off me. Get off me. What's your bloody problem?
I haven't got a problem, obviously. You just got a problem.
Oh, that's good that you got him sitting there, because otherwise he just
Good,
stays
good. It's not
great...
going to make my bloody future come through. No, it ain't. Just shut up.
For him to see that somebody's in charge. He shouldn't treat you with such disrespect.
Disrespect.
You've got a lot to learn in life, I tell you, Sean.
Life, I ain't got a life.
Oh, you haven't got a life, have you?
No. You don't seem to understand. I will not last in a regular basis on a regular school. So stupid. So bloody...
It's not very encouraging, is it?
What? Encouraging about what? I'm just telling the truth.
Well, this is more encouraging if he's actually saying some things.
I've got an option to go to a stupid school that's full of maniacs, kicking doors in, smashing windows, doing drugs. And I've got another choice where you don't get an education, they just teach you things that you already know. It's bloody little infant kids.
He says that his school ruined his life. Now that's a very powerful thing for a 9-year-old to say. It's pretty awful that he's got that view of school as damaged him. But the only route I can think of is to start to help him to make some sense of that, to talk about it. But he has an embargo on talking.
This reluctance to talk often explodes in violent frustration, but sometimes there's a more disturbing reaction. Zobada, who's 10, has taken refuge in silence. She comes to the unit with her mother Lal Bibi and an interpreter 2 mornings a week. Even in the Marlborough small classroom, Zobada will hardly talk and is strangely still. She has become virtually unteachable.
She talking in school. She says she talks in school, not as much, but she does.
Certainly, as we've seen it, elective mutism is a very, very powerful symptom. That's a powerful behaviour that children sometimes use.
I wonder why you're not wanting to talk today. Very busy.
The family have mentioned Bengali spirits or ghosts, and that was something that was influencing Zobada. There are realities about her father's serious ill health. Their housing conditions are not good. Zobada's mother's not physically well either. So there's all sorts of good circumstantial, contextual reasons for why the family's under stress.
Shane. Give me that. Yeah, I know. Now, measure this.
Part of what happens in the unit is something that we call cross-family linkage, which is where parents will work with other children other than their own, and children will respond to another parent.
5.
That's right.
They may have been thinking, OK, I've been too tough as a parent, for example, which is what Catherine's been saying. For a while, I've been watching that James with other adults is softer and warmer, and if he was like that with me, I would want to do things for him rather than feeling I'm his mum, so I have to do this. She has, having watched that, decided that she would try and be a little bit warmer and a little bit more generous with some of the other children, and you can watch her around the unit doing that, particularly with Shane and a little bit with Danny. And she said that she then gets quite a buzz from it.
Can't you get your brain to it this morning at all? No? Why? Because you're too tired?
No, I just don't feel well.
I suggest that you go and get some milk and bring it out here. Will you have a try, because I also have other things to do, yeah?
Let's get your people up and not many people know too much about it, but my mum, if I've got a sore foot because I've tripped over, that's your anxiety. Everything's the anxiety, but
I don't understand it myself now. But I know that he is suffering. I mean, like, there's no way. I mean, like, many people have said, he's playing you up. And I say he's not.
What do you think is suffering?
Anxiety. He has this level of anxiety.
Does he say it?
Yeah. Does he say it?
Yeah, that he's anxious.
No, he shows it. Charlie, hang your coat up. Danny, put the things away that you said you would.
Danny's struggled at 4 secondary schools. That's a pretty impressive list of difficulties in such a short space of time. He's missing out on too much. So I don't see anything in it for him to fake it. I think it's been going on for too long.
Now I'm at North Westminster Community School. And I kept on getting these bad pains. When you walk out the door, like, in your stomach, proper, like, bang, ba-bang, ba-bang, throbbing pain, like, really hurts.
I had a meeting with the head of year and they apologised for not realising Danny's illness. But the school probably thought, well, you know, this mum walking in here saying my son suffers from anxiety, who doesn't suffer from, you know, like this is the kind of attitude that was put over. Understandably, I mean, they have many, many children there to deal with and probably some of them come up with some whoppers. And so, therefore, they did apologise, although they didn't need to. Yeah.
In one school, St Aloysius, sometimes the older kids used to throw stones from the top of a hill. One day, it hit someone just in front of me, about that far in front of me, hit him right on the head, and it, well, went straight into his skull. No, I'm not scared of the violence, like, it just worried me out, like, because if I was just a step higher, it would have hit my head. And that really made me think, like, how dangerous it actually was.
I feel that probably put you under more pressure, and where the anxiety and the hours in the toilets and things like that all came about.
I've set myself a target date of a month's time. And if I ain't back to school by then, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Today is James's 10th birthday, and he's about to surprise the staff at the Marlborough.
That one's quite a good one.
Oh, yes, that's lovely.
That's a lovely one.
I don't like that picture of me, do I?
No.
Why not?
My hair.
James has come back after Easter, scalped. His haircut matches current fashion with other children. So it gives him that bit more chance of fitting in and being accepted. So that's a good sign.
Are you going to do some work now?
Yeah.
Go on then. And get your folder out. Yes.
I love you.
I love you too now, off you go.
Tragically, Catherine brushes off James's attempt to have a birthday cuddle. She doesn't yet know how to respond to him when he seeks her affection.
So you say that it began to feel like James wasn't anything particularly to do with you?
It got to say it wasn't a baby, it was an it. It may have come from me, but it's not. It's nothing to do with me. It wasn't a part of me.
What do you make of that now when you look back? 10 years.
A terrifying thought to what I could have done during that time. I mean, if someone had said, hey, how about giving him up for adoption? I could have probably quite happily signed the papers without even thinking about it. And I would have totally regretted it afterwards.
You lost your baby.
To be honest, I think I've always been distant from him. You know, when he was good, he never actually got a I wasn't, you know, I didn't praise him about it.
Right.
Because I'd always been that one step behind because of all the professionals that carried on into our private life. Oh, can I? It got to the point where he's being good, so what? You know, that's what's expected. So the only time he really got a reaction from me was when he was naughty. That's how the pattern began.
Right.
I'd like to be at the stage where I can accept him as my son and as a human being, but also as my child, as something that needs to be loved and wants to be loved, rather than something that I have to love, you know.
I was finding candles for the birthday cake she bought, and I took the candles out to her and said, here you are, Catherine, here are the candles. And she went, oh, you can do that. You go in and do it. I'll let you do that with him. And I took 3 paces in and then thought, this is crazy. I've just had a whole conversation about this. Brought the candles back out and said, don't do that. You didn't catch me like that, Catherine. This is up for you to do.
On the table?
Yeah.
Come on then.
And she did it, and she did it beautifully.
Happy birthday to
James.
a nice intimate time, and that was right. It was a parent and child's intimacy and not an intimacy for a professional.
Hey. To help Danny fight his panic attacks, Dr. Aya Arson has decided to use hypnotherapy to get him through the school gates.
Keep doing that breathing in your own time, in. I want you to just think about the school you used to go to. Point with your hand where that feeling in your stomach used to be there, right? Okay. Can you describe that feeling to me? Yes, and I would ask you to describe it in a strange way. And tell me about the size of it, the shape of it, the colour of it, the surface of it.
It's rough, it's red, it's brown like football.
Okay. Try with your mind to shrink it down. What size is it now?
Pinhead.
Pinhead, okay. How can you make it bigger? Would you have to think about something to make it bigger?
Skull.
Skull.
Okay. Well, then now say 10, right? So here you are. If you can see the pain and the panic, yes, you can make it visual. If you go to school, for instance, on Tuesday, it then could be possible for you to fight it rather than just to be its victim. Good. Okay then.
Your dad and I were talking about the fact that your mum's probably going to have to go back to a hospital and she's not been well. Your dad was just saying today since 1989, so it's quite a long time. Well, I'm sorry that Mary's feeling so rough. It must be.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think she'd rather have that done in, just to get rid of it once and for all, like, because I think she's getting a bit down, like.
John saw Mary last night. She's been up most of the night watching TV, not sleeping, because an aunt said to her, "Oh, that's just how your mother's cancer started." And she was dead by 43.
Yeah.
So Shane came in with his swagger and, like, I'm going to break a ruler, not concentrate.
Neil decides to tackle Shane about why he won't talk about his mother.
John then took the ruler off Shane.
No, what a load of rubbish.
Why wouldn't you talk about his mum?
Well, why should I?
I mean, if there's
They're just strange. There's
a big worry about your mum, then needs talking about, thinking about.
He's never spoke about his, since his mum's been up and down hospital, he's never once spoke about it.
Yeah, but I don't want to chat about it.
If you're worried about it, you don't feel you
I
can
am
talk
worried
about
about it, so I tell you what, everybody's making a big doo-doo over it. What's the point in, come into the office and talk about it? Oh, come in here. What's the point?
So should everybody give up then?
Nope. Okay, it just needs a little bit of organisation.
The aim of Danny getting a file of work together is to start to help him become a real pupil for the school to take notice of, rather than somebody who's just, Danny is agoraphobic, Danny's a long-standing problem, Danny's a long-term school refuser. Those labels stick quite tightly, and we actually want the teachers to see, well, this is a real person.
Danny is beginning to realise that unless he does the work for me at home, then I'm going to make it really
And I can't
tough.
go to Millwall.
Then I really make it tough for him at home. I live life as a friend to my children. With Danny, it was different. It was a rebellion. He wasn't going to do it, and it was becoming a habit. That's when I decided not to be his friend anymore.
We know it's not a soft option when children come in and say to their parents, "I'm not going back to that bloody Marlborough anymore." And that is usually at a time when their parents are beginning to be different with them. And there's a huge message about, how dare you challenge me? How dare you treat me in this way and boundary me? You know, this is totally disloyal. And quite often it's what you're doing to my mum's head.
He's not ill anymore. He's just formed a lot of bad habits, and he needs jolted back into reality and the world as it is.
Jill Morton, a specialised teacher therapist, helps some of the children to talk about their problems through storytelling and drawing. It's taken her nearly a year and a lot of ingenuity to get Zobada to open her mouth.
Shall I shut my eyes? Shut my eyes. Are you thinking what to draw? Sometimes it seems all right to nod or shake your head, but it seems hard to make a noise out of your mouth, doesn't it? Like the Little Mermaid. You read your words and I'll read mine. You are quiet today, Zobada. Why are you whispering? It's hard to hear you. Do you remember last week? You were very quiet last week. You're not so quiet today. You found your voice this morning. I'm still thinking about the mermaid and about the mermaid when she couldn't speak.
She can speak.
Pardon?
She can talk.
She can talk.
She goes to the bad witch.
She goes to the bad witch and then she stole the mermaid's voice. So when the mermaid couldn't speak, how could she ask for things? How could she ask for help?
She moves her hand. She goes.
Oh, what you mean like when you nod and shake your head instead of speaking? You do that, don't you? Did she want to get her voice back? Pardon? You whisper at me, are we? Pardon?
Zobada will probably be here until the summer. She's down to 2 sessions a week now, and the rest of the time she's in school where the teachers are seeing positive changes in her. I think the debate is still as to how well she can survive in mainstream school.
Crash. Hey! Awesome.
Some of them are right. James! That's enough. Excuse me. There's a matter there, a couple of them are wrong. James? This is not funny.
Ow, you fool! Go away, I'll do it myself.
All right, you do it then.
Fuck off.
No, not if you're going to be like that, I won't. You talk to me nicely.
Give me my pencil back. You made me go mad.
No, you made yourself go mad because you got angry at yourself for making a mistake.
No.
We all make mistakes. Yes, all right.
One of the things that we've all noticed that you still struggle with is when if you find something not going right, then you throw a tantrum like you just did.
I don't want to listen to you.
Although the unit seems relaxed, the children are not allowed to get away with anything. They are constantly challenged to face up to the consequences of their actions by persistent talking and questioning.
Some of those sums wrong. What would help you to actually stop needing to have your mum come over and help you stop throwing things? And so if you were to give a 10-year-old answer, what would it be?
I don't know.
Calm down.
How would you stop though?
How is it going to help?
I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know.
So you got 3 plus something equaled 9. So if you had 9 and you took away 3, how many would you have left? Do it on your fingers.
3?
Yeah, do it on your fingers.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Correct.
6.
Catherine, you're brilliant.
Catherine hasn't only learnt how to effectively control James, she's also at last able to show her love for him.
Bringing Catherine and James together is an experience we can all enjoy, but trying to help Maureen and Danny have what we might consider a more appropriate relationship, which might be easier for both of them in terms of development, is tricky and is more painful for all of us that are involved.
Okay, thanks very much. All right, Danny?
Right, Lucy?
Danny manages to control his anxiety so that he can attend a meeting arranged by the Marlborough with his head teacher.
When you first came here, Michael, the idea of us getting together this afternoon was to begin to think about Danny coming back to school.
I've never known anybody have such a short time in your first 3 secondary schools. But let's see your work then.
There's not a great deal, Mr. Martin.
I see, yes. Got a good sense of detail, huh?
That's my guitar and my amp from
Right. Why have you put an uppercase letter there?
Oh no, I don't know.
That's wrong.
I got mixed up on it.
What I did hope for was when he came to the school that the work would be such a good level that it would take his imagination, and he ended up in a very, very low level, having to work his way through, which he felt as if he'd done in primary, and so therefore the anxiety did overtake him.
Every one of the 28 pupils is doing a different exercise. But the moment you get high marks on the easy stuff, you go up and up and up.
If he didn't give it the chance, he wouldn't do it.
You're not giving yourself the chance. Never mind about it. It could be that the start back should not be in chunks of the day, but threads of the work. Now, if I could wave a magic wand and change one thing, especially for you, what would you like changed?
The assembly mainly, because that's what caused me the worst distress. Michael Marland was very friendly. He's different from the other teachers. He made me feel kind of more welcome at the school than any of the other teachers.
You've learnt to understand yourself better than most people of your age do. Therefore, your difficulty you can make a plus out of.
He seemed to talk about what I do at home, what subjects I'm interested in, not what to do, but what I'd like to do.
Yeah, all right.
He was more asking me than telling me.
And has anybody at school spent that sort of time and asked those sort of questions before?
No. Out of all the schools I've been to, all 4 of them, no one.
Oh yeah. Oh no, is it too late this far into doing that?
Okay, off you go.
This technique I've tried with other children who've had a similar difficulty, where the feelings about maybe not being any good get in the way of putting things on paper, because the not good comes out on paper. It's something that neither of us knows kind of where it's going to go, so we each invent a character that start a conversation on paper, and I call this paper conversation. This time he chose a car in a garage, and I was a cat. But this car, in his story, gets scrapped by some nasty, dangerous neighbour. And it seemed to me that within the story, there was the opportunity to explore the different sides of himself. You obviously don't want to talk to me about why you wanted to scrap my friend. Why not?
Because I'm shy.
This character, like James sometimes, couldn't put things into words. Might have had lots of words on the inside, but didn't want them on the outside. He came to the conclusion that the car had been taken away. He couldn't be very hopeful initially about anybody being able to put it back together, but he came to the idea of it being recycled and being made into something else. And then when I asked him why, I said I still didn't understand why it had to be scrapped. He said it was because it was naughty.
You've done terrific. So how did you get that sensible bit of the brain to keep working?
Because the new car, the car that was scrapped, has been recycled.
How do you make that bit of your brain work harder than the bit that wants to mess about?
If you think really hard, into your mind, I'm going to be really good and do lots of work. And then it makes you feel like I'm going to do lots and lots of my work.
The group discussions are tough on parents, but they give everyone an opportunity to both challenge and encourage each other.
Children bullying their parents.
Speak.
I can speak about Danny. I've had enough of Danny. I had a lot of hope. I'd actually decided that he was going back to school on Monday, and it was an off-the-cuff decision, but I decided to follow it through. And he went back to school. 2 lessons Monday, 1 lesson the next day, and the next day he couldn't make it past the school gate. I didn't understand how he felt. He was dying on the street with the flu and this, that and the other. And I said, I don't care. I said, you're going to school. And he says, you don't understand how I feel, Mum. I can't go through the gate. I can't go in there. I can't. I'll go tomorrow. In the end, his whinging ways finally got me, and I thought, well, maybe he is ill. And it's, you know, maybe he does feel this way. And I'm pushing him towards the edge. And then he accused me of putting him down, because I said, well, where do you expect to go from here if you don't get an education? And he said, perhaps I could become a really good actor. I said, I think you're doing a very good job of it at the moment.
So what do we do with these children? I mean, how could you be tough on expecting Danny to go in school? And how could you be tough on Jobber expecting her to speak? You know?
At the end of the day, sometimes you feel like the villain of the piece.
Yeah.
And your energy.
You're trying to do it for their sake. At the end of the day, you feel guilty all the time.
It's the frustrating. I mean, do you never, just because I'm in this state now, do you never lose your temper, John? Because I walked away thinking I want to scream at him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he laughs in your face. You give every bit of you. You give your tough bit, you give your soft bit, you give your tender, you know, I understand this, you try everything. And he's still... But do you never kind of go... I mean...
Very rarely.
I
If you used your strong voice, it's not going to be the answer, but we've got to have
We
something.
would love to know what would happen if you did.
And don't back down after you've done it.
And having the courage to sort of follow it through, we'd back you.
Thinking of a child's behaviour is part of a mobile, where you cannot just pull on that child to change without perturbing everybody around them. If you want to really help a child change, then it's having some kind of partnership and some way of understanding what's happening with all the other people that are involved, so that the child isn't the only person trying to change. It's not just like if you pull one bit of a mobile, everything moves. But also, if you change a child, other people will need to shift their behaviours and responses in relation to that child's shift. Otherwise, it's a very cruel task.
After 6 months at the Marlborough, there's been a big improvement in James's behaviour at school. His teacher and the class assistant have been involved with the unit from the start.
What about pipes at home?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think in class it's calmer with him, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
In general, we've both noticed, haven't we, that he is becoming a little bit, generally a bit calmer and taking a bit more time to work out his response to things before. I feel much more relaxed about that now.
This morning he actually worked really well. I mean, incredibly well.
Certainly, we're seeing that his tantrums, yes, they still happen, but they're not as long, they're not as dramatic, and you're not having to work anywhere near as hard as you did to begin with.
No, there's been a vast change in his behaviour. I mean, to do with school and the unit, he's calms down a lot quicker, because I've changed a lot over the last few months as well. It's not just James, it's me as well.
You've been brilliant.
I mean, before if he'd have done something wrong, I might have just lashed out at him and smacked him without really thinking about it. Now I don't, I stop, I think, I talk to him instead.
It's nothing we're doing, it's what's happening between you and him.
It's certainly not a soft option for us, because I feel out of all the children in my class, I've been far more involved with James, really, this year than any other child. It's not a soft option for you, is it?
No, it isn't, not at all.
And it hasn't been a soft option for James or his mother, really. I think Catherine has had to work hard.
Those, aren't they? Here is the these are...
Something had to happen. He could not continue as he was, and he has changed so much, and I'm now learning from the Marlborough how to treat. I mean, you know, you just don't know how to treat James sometimes. You're thinking, am I doing the right thing? The Marlborough have guided us.
As the Whitsun holiday approaches, everyone takes stock of what they have achieved so far this year.
I hope to be back in school.
All the time?
Yeah. Do good work and not bully people up.
And to be that 10-year-old boy, I guess.
Yeah.
Just what do you think your mum's dreams are for you?
Don't know.
No idea? Check.
Mum, what's your like?
I don't know. To be able to get through school, get a good job at the end of it all. That's I think what everybody wants. But at the moment, for the short term, for him to still get a little bit more control over his temper, and learn to understand the difference between playing a game with other people and just copying what their bad behaviour.
Right. Have you got something to show us, Robert?
Have you got your mermaid story there in your picture? Can you read a little bit of that? Let's hear your big voice again.
The little mermaid could swim at first. She can talk, and she went to the lady, the mermaid.
Mermaids.
Voice is gone to the bad witch.
Very good. So this morning when Zobada went quiet on me, I said, are you a girl or are you a mermaid? Are you?
No.
Are you a mermaid?
I know.
You're a girl. Good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have to hear her read out to everybody.
Hearing her read out loud is fantastic, isn't it?
And it would be nice to let everybody else hear her
Story.
read.
You'd like her to share her story. I would too.
There has been lots of progress in the 4 months that QED has been filming, but the Marlborough still hasn't got through to Shane. John is still struggling to discipline him, and there's little chance of him returning to school in the near future.
I know in my own mind I should be a lot firmer. Actually putting it into practice is different.
This man here is going to be so firm and tough.
I'll handcuff him in future, put a gag on him.
Maybe the right weight for them tubes now for the rubber. No, it's got to be lined up the
With the continuing support of the Marlborough and his head teacher, Danny went to school for the rest of the summer term. If you would like a special booklet with further information about the Challenging Children series, please send a cheque for £5.95, payable to BBC Education, to QED Challenging Children, P.O. Box 7, London W12 8UD. To order by credit card, phone 0990 11 8893.